Hey guys, Birmingham Guitar Dude here. So let's talk about pricing and the prices of, in particular, vintage cast iron. So, you know, when I first started messing around with vintage cast iron, one of the first things that I noticed was the pricing was all over the map. I mean, it did not make sense to me at all based on what I was seeing on eBay and seeing in the antique places and just all the sources that I generally use, thrift stores that I generally use to source cast iron. I've even still do deal with individuals that deal in estate sales, and you know, the pricing seems to be all over the map. Now, let me say, generally speaking, I try to source my cast iron as cheaply as possible. Just makes sense, right? If you're going to buy something used, quote unquote, then in my opinion, it's, you know, price is negotiable. And you know, but I want to give you a few thoughts about my view on pricing and how I approach pricing, because I guess you could say I am a cast iron vendor. I don't have a booth anywhere. I don't advertise. You know, I don't sell my stuff on eBay. I don't ship anymore. The last piece of cast iron, vintage cast iron that I shipped was damaged by the Postal Service, and I'm in a debate with them right now. Filed a claim, and they haven't paid me on that claim, so I'm not shipping until further notice. But let's get back to pricing. So I want to show you a piece of cast iron, okay? So this is a Birmingham Stove and Range Cornbread skillet. Some people call them a wedge skillet. Okay, it's patent pending. It's got the patent pending, so it's an early model of this particular skillet, and it's fully restored by me. Okay, this pan is ready to go. All right. Now, how I price these pans that I restore, is I price in my labor charges, okay? And generally speaking, when anybody contacts me about restoring cast iron, I tell them 25 bucks. All right? And I have broken it down per hour that I spend to restore cast iron, and I am charging $3 an hour. Maybe $4 an hour, just depending on how bad the pan is. But my labor rates are very cheap, comparatively speaking, okay? Now, can you get iron and restore it yourself? Absolutely. I'm all for that. I highly encourage. I've helped people set up electrolysis tanks and lye baths to restore iron for themselves and other people. So I'm all for helping people get off the ground on bringing old cast iron back to life. But this pan right here, I charge $35 for this pan. All right, now this is fully restored. You will be able to use this thing day one to cook cornbread, dump it out, won't stick. Okay, I recently saw this pan unrestored for $79. And I just had to laugh. You know, because is this pan worth $79? Well, if it was made of gold, maybe, but this pan is not a $79 pan, okay? Now, let me show you another pan that I have restored, and this is a wall hanger for me, okay? And just at first blush, okay, just looks like a normal everyday skillet. But if you look real closely, you'll see that this is Dixie Foundry in Cleveland, Tennessee. All right. So, part of what affects the pricing of cast iron, let me put my props down, is the brand. Okay, so you will generally find that you have to pay more for Griswold and Wagner cast iron than you might have to pay for Lodge or Birmingham stove, but it depends, because if the Lodge or Birmingham stove is a super rare pan, a very old pan, you may have to pay more for those pieces. So there's a lot of factors that go into what you will pay for a piece of cast iron. And supply and demand factors heavily into the price of a piece of cast iron. In other words, let me just put it to you this way. If the supply of a piece of cast iron is low and the demand is high, then that's going to be an expensive piece of cast iron. This Dixie pan was a very small foundry. They didn't produce very many pieces of cast iron, and so you will spend a fair amount of money to acquire a piece of cast iron like that. Griswold and Wagner, why is it priced higher? Well, there's just, is it, I guess let's put it this way. Is it better cast iron? I guess it depends on the eyes of the beholder, okay? I guess it's better, you know, because it looks better. I mean, there's no disputing the fact, in my opinion, there's no disputing the fact that a Griswold piece of cast iron is absolutely beautiful. The early Griswold pieces of cast iron that I've got are just beautiful pieces of cast iron. But it's that brand name that's bumping it up. Certain sizes in any brand that are very hard to come by are going to be expensive pieces of cast iron. And this video is going a little long, so I want to wrap it up. The way that I price my cast iron, this is how I do it, is I use eBay. And in particular, I look at closed, sold, and completed auctions. And hopefully there's quite a, you know, number of auctions that have closed. And I throw out the outliers. And I look at the ones that sold within a certain range. Okay, so if a pan sold between $35 and $55, more than likely I'll just charge $45 for that pan. Okay, you know, it's just how I go about it. Okay, but generally speaking, too, you will pay a lot less. You should pay a lot less for what I call dirty cast iron. So cast iron that has not been restored, you should pay less for it. But again, if it's a super rare pan, you're probably going to pay more for that piece of cast iron. Okay? So, hopefully that kind of sheds a little bit of light on how cast iron, vintage cast iron, is priced. It is an inexact science. Okay? And quite frankly, a seller can put whatever they want to on a piece of cast iron, is the bottom line. But when I'm hunting for cast iron, when I'm purchasing cast iron, the way I approach it is it's all negotiable. Unless you're buying cast iron off of eBay and if they have a best offer, then you can throw out an offer for that piece of cast iron. Okay? So, a little bit of long-winded answer to the subject of pricing. As they say, it's complicated, okay? But do your homework. Try to get a feel for what you think you're seeing the fair market value for, and be kind to people like me. Okay, we are investing hours of our time bringing back these old pieces of cast iron so that you, the buyer, can use it day one. At least that's my objective. Okay, when I sell a piece of cast iron to somebody, I want them to be able to use it day one. And so, in my opinion, it's better than brand new because I've already done the effort of restoring it and seasoning it several times so that you can immediately start using it in your kitchen. Okay? That's my goal as a restorer of cast iron. All right, if you have any questions, post them down below. I'll try to help you answer any pricing questions that you may have. But that's how I approach the pricing of cast iron, my views and thoughts on it. Okay? Take care.